What's up, guys? Welcome back to Chiefs Chat. In today's episode, I'm going to be predicting the Chiefs 2023-2024 regular season. Okay, I've done this a couple of years in the past. It's always a fun episode to do. Okay, usually I'm able to predict our record pretty solid. I mean, I'm always usually just within maybe one or two games when it comes to our final record. But it's always fun to look at the schedule, before the season starts and just take a look at how many of these games are we going to end up losing? That's kind of the question with the Chiefs, I've been super blessed to be able to say that, I'm a fan of the Chiefs, okay? And we don't lose very many games, I'll tell you that. So it's always fun to try to predict which games I think we're going to lose, if any, honestly, because, we're just a great team. But, I'm going to do that. I'm going to try my best to see, how many games we're going to lose, who is it going to be to. So, let's just not waste time. Not going to waste time anymore. Okay, let's go right into week one. Everybody knows at this point, man, we're kicking off the season. Arrowhead Stadium, we're facing off against the Detroit Lions. You guys know, Lions, they're kind of trending upwards. They're a pretty solid young team. They've got a lot of good young pieces on that roster. They've got a couple of nice receivers that I really like. Amon-Ra St. Brown is one of those guys, and you've got Jameson Williams, who is, I believe he's serving a suspension, if I'm not mistaken. But I still really like him. Jared Goff is always a solid quarterback, and they've got a couple of nice pieces on defense. They just recently acquired C.J. Gardner-Johnson from the Eagles, which I think is a good pickup for them. Although I think he might be hurt. Frankly, I'm not sure about that, but. Regardless, okay, I think this is going to be an easy week one win against the Detroit Lions. I just think they're a little bit too young, and I do believe the final score is going to be 28-16. Forgot to tell you guys, I am going to also be predicting the final score, so I do think Chiefs are going to take this one convincingly, 28-16. And the Lions, they've been known for having a pretty nice offense over the past couple of seasons. They've been, I believe, top 5. I think last season they were top 5 in terms of total offense. But I just think, our defense, they're starting to get up there when it comes to experience. Our rookies last year are, learning this defense, and they're really starting to get the experience they need. And I think we've just got a leg up when it comes to experience. And I think, I'm just not too sure that this young Lions offense is going to be able to do much against this Chiefs defense, especially in rockin' Arrowhead Stadium. It's going to be tough for them. So I do think we're going to win that game. Moving on, week 2, we play the Jacksonville Jaguars, and this is going to be an interesting matchup. The Jaguars, we faced off against them last season in the playoffs as well as the regular season, and we did win both of those games. It was a pretty close one in the playoffs, however, because Patrick Mahomes unfortunately suffered that ankle injury. But this time around, I think the Chiefs, we're going to win big. Okay, 41-21 is my prediction. Jacksonville, not known for having the greatest defense. So I do think that Patrick Mahomes, we're going to go out there, we're going to pounce on the opportunity, we're just going to score a lot of points, man. And, the Jaguars, although I do think that they are a playoff team in the AFC, not sure that they're, anywhere close in terms of just being a Super Bowl caliber team, such as the Chiefs. So, do think the Chiefs are going to win that one. I just think we're a couple of tiers above that team. It's going to be a convincing win. Week 3, Bears, okay? Coming to Arrowhead Stadium. We're playing the Bears at home. I feel like it's been a while since we played the Bears. Correct me if I'm wrong. I just feel like it's been a few years. So it's nice to see them on the schedule. It'll be interesting to see them. And, I'm really liking the Bears this season, man. I've been an advocate for Justin Fields since he was in college. I just think he's an absolute baller. He's struggled with his passing so far in his NFL career, but I just think this is the year where they really start to turn that around. I can see Justin Fields just being a force on that Bears offense. So I do think the Bears are going to make it close here, but I do think the Chiefs will pull off the win. My prediction is a 31-28 victory over the Bears. That Bears team, very, very young, but I do think they're trending upwards. I think they're a great team. I think Justin Fields, I just think he's got that next level to him. Of course, DJ Moore is a big help for that offense. Of course, they've got a couple of nice pieces on defense as well. So I just think they're a pretty solid young team, and they're trending upwards for sure. Okay, week 4. This is an interesting matchup. We will be visiting the New York Jets. Okay, Aaron Rodgers, that new squad, definitely an interesting one. But something. I'm not liking this Jets team. I'll tell you that right now. There's just something about this Jets team that I'm really not liking. The main thing is just the fact that the organization was just so, I don't know, so desperate, I guess is the correct word, bringing in Aaron Rodgers and then just having him pretty much just, tell them to sign a bunch of players that they shouldn't necessarily have done, frankly. If you guys remember, they did sign Mecole Hardman, who, he's one of my favorite players. Unfortunately, is not on the team anymore. Went to the Jets. And then on top of that, they signed Randall Cobb and Alan Lazard, just a bunch of players that Aaron Rodgers wanted back on that team, even though it just doesn't make a lot of sense. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Not at all. So I just don't see this Jets team being very good. I could see them missing the playoffs. I don't know if they're even going to win more than 8 games. I mean, I'll be honest. Aaron Rodgers, I just think his, as great as he is, I do think that his career is starting to trend downwards. And this Jets team, not sure about it. Not sure about this team being ready to go and fight for that AFC playoff spot. They've got a lot of tough competitors in the AFC, and the Chiefs, we're one of them. And we are going to take away a victory from them in week 4. I do think we'll win that game. 24-14 is the final score for me. Pretty easy, convincing win. I just think it's going to be one of those weeks where it's just not a lot of huge highlight plays, just an easy win. Going to go out there, get the job done. Week 5, okay? Playing the Vikings on the road, okay? And here's where things, there's always one game every single year that the Chiefs lose, where it's like, how did we lose? Last year with the Colts, right? And I think this year, as crazy as it might sound, I just think the Vikings, I think here in this Week 5 matchup, they're gonna take the W. Something tells me that this Vikings team is gonna come out there, man. They're gonna have that home crowd behind them, man. They're gonna have that winning mentality heading into this Week 5 matchup, and I do think that they will take a win away from the Chiefs, man. I just think that offense, they've got a lot of great pieces. I mean, let's not forget Justin Jefferson. I mean, he's a baller, okay? And I can see Kirk Cousins just being able to, connect with him very well against our Chiefs secondary. As tough as it is to admit, our secondary, man, we're young. We've got a lot of young guys on our secondary. Justin Jefferson now is a pretty experienced guy. Kirk Cousins obviously is, and I can see them being overwhelmed by a guy like Justin Jefferson. And honestly, just in general, it seems like every time we go up against a top receiver, we just struggle. I mean, it's happened with Devontae Adams a couple of times last year. It happened with Jamar Chase a couple of times. We go up against a top guy and we just struggle to contain him. I can see that happening here with Justin Jefferson, and I can see them absolutely exploding against our Chiefs defense. And unfortunately, my prediction is that the Vikings will beat us 42-35. I do believe that's the final score. A pretty high scoring game. But I do think that just because of that connection, and I also like a lot of their other receivers. I mean, they got KJ Osborne on that team, as well as Jordan Addison, a young, upcoming rookie wide receiver. So I could see them just going crazy on our secondary. We've got some inexperienced guys, some young players. They're getting up there. I don't know if they're quite there yet, when it comes to being able to shut down a guy like Justin Jefferson. That's not easy to do. So I do think the Vikings we'll get that victory against us, and at this point we're 4-1. We're still looking good, but I do think the Vikings will sneak one against us in Week 5. Moving on, Week 6, home game against the Broncos. That's a pretty easy win in my eyes. Okay, 31-20 is the final score against the Broncos. That offense struggled last season, and I could see them continuing that struggle this season. Unfortunately, I love Russell Wilson. I think he's a great guy. I think he's a great quarterback. But it seems as if this system isn't really working for him, and I'm not sure that Sean Payton is necessarily going to be the answer for that Broncos team, especially offensively. Sean Payton, I'm just not sure how he's going to work with a guy like Russell Wilson. That's going to be interesting dynamic there. But I do think the Chiefs going to pick out that win. Moving on, Week 7, another AFC West matchup facing the Chargers. Going to LA, I do think that one is going to be a victory. Those LA games, those Chargers games, they're always pretty close, and I do think the Chargers are a great team. I think they're kind of among that group of teams in the AFC that I could really see trying to contend with the Chiefs when it comes to trying to get a couple of wins in the postseason and potentially make it the Super Bowl. I think the Chiefs, we got to be honest with ourselves. I think they're just kind of in a tier of their own. And then there's just this group of teams. You got the Ravens, you got the Bills, and the Bengals, of course. And then I think you could maybe sneak the Chargers up there. I think the Chargers, even though they have really struggled in the postseason, especially last season, obviously, even though they've just kind of fallen short of expectations, I could see them making that jump. They've just got a lot of talent. They really do. It's got a lot of talented players. But I do think in Week 7 we still get that victory. But they will make it close. I do think the score is going to be 28-24. Chiefs with the victory. Okay. And then we've got another Broncos matchup. Okay, our second Broncos matchup in 3 weeks. Week 6, 7, and 8. We've got the Broncos in 6 and 8. And here in Week 8, okay, this time we are going to Denver, and I think it's going to be another monster win. Okay, I just don't think the Broncos are a very good team. I just do not think they are. And I think their defense definitely trending downwards. I just haven't really been seeing them get much better. I know they've got that guy, Patrick Surtain. He's a great cornerback. They've got that guy, Justin Simmons, great safety. But I could just see one of these two games against the Broncos. I could see the offense just going crazy. Let's not forget we've got Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce. Come on, dynamic duo, and I think they're going to shine against this Broncos defense in Week 8. 45-24, boom, victory. And then Week 9, this is going to be a crazy game. Playing the Dolphins in Germany. What a game that's going to be. Okay, and you'd expect fireworks, right? Going up against this Dolphins team that just got a crazy good offense, especially after last season. They proved that they they were able to make that situation with Tyreek Hill work. Jalen Waddle is a fantastic wide receiver. And Tua, man, he was just able to get in there, deliver the ball, score a lot of points on offense. And, given the fact that the Chiefs, obviously we've established ourselves as one of the best offenses in the NFL, you would expect fireworks, man. You would expect big-time numbers. But something tells me that the Chiefs, we're going to go into Germany, man. Let's not forget, man, in Germany, the Chiefs, we've actually got a pretty solid fan base, man. We've done some good marketing over there in Germany. And I think once we go to Germany, I just think the atmosphere is going to be insane. I think the atmosphere is going to be off the chart. I think we're probably going to be, it's going to be like a home game for us, I think. A lot of Chiefs fans are in Germany. I think they're going to show out in this game big time. And I think it's going to make an impact. Something tells me that our defense is going to lock up. Our defense is just going to just have one of those games where we're just insane. And I think it's going to be a 28-10 victory against the Dolphins. I know it's crazy, okay? I know it's a little bit insane, given the fact that the Dolphins offense, one of the best in the league. But I just think we're going to shut them down. Something tells me, man. Something tells me that this is going to be one of those days where the Chiefs defense goes out there and we just ball. So that's how I think the first half of the season is going to go. At this point, we've got an 8-1 record. It's pretty good. Okay, and then Week 10 we've got a bye. Got a bye week in Week 10. Week 11, we will be facing the Eagles at home. So obviously, I don't know. Obviously, you guys haven't forgot already. Face the Eagles in the Super Bowl. Obviously, we did get that win, which is just incredible. But I just got to tip my cap to the Eagles team, and I got to give them the win here in Week 11. They're just a solid, complete team, by far the most dominant team in the NFC. And they're just poised to make another Super Bowl run. And I think the Chiefs, I just think they're going to come to Arrowhead Stadium and they're going to be like, hey, man, we lost that game in the Super Bowl. And we've still got some hurt feelings about it. So we're going to go out there. And I think they're going to show us something here in Arrowhead Stadium. I think the defense, they've just got just a complete team. Defense, offense, they've just got, almost no weaknesses on that squad. So I could definitely see them coming in, with some vengefulness. I don't know if that's a word. With some vengeful feelings, and they're just going to take us down. I can see that happening. And I do think it's going to be a 24-34 loss. I think they're going to beat us by a couple of possessions. It doesn't happen a lot, but the Eagles are just one of those teams. I just think they're a great team. I think they're a great squad. And yeah, I think, just looking at schedule, if we're going to lose a game, the Eagles might be the one. If I had to put my money on the Chiefs losing, any game, it might be that game right there, just because Eagles, I just think they're a great team. Probably one of the best teams that we're going to be facing here on this in the entire season, in the entire regular season. Some could argue probably the second best team in the league. Week 12, Raiders. Okay, this one's going to be an away game, but I think the Raiders, like the Broncos, kind of. I just don't think they're a great team, and I think that offense just. Josh Jacobs, of course, had a great season last year, but I don't see that offense being good at all. Something tells me that offense is just going to struggle. Jimmy Garoppolo is a winning quarterback, but I guess you could say I'm one of those people who kind of believes that he benefited from the system over there in San Francisco, just like I think Brock Purdy is right now. I just think that San Francisco team, they are just built to win. And I think Jimmy G was kind of a product of that, winning games, of course, in that San Francisco system. So here he is in Las Vegas on this Raiders team that are kind of struggling to find an identity, if you ask me. They just lost Derek Carr, who was just a strong part of their team for so many years. And now they're kind of just in this weird spot where they've got Jimmy Garoppolo on the team, a proven winner in this league. But you might want to kind of put some parentheses around the fact that he's only really won with the 49ers. You could say that he's a winner in this league, but really he's just a winner on the 49ers. And I think that doesn't hold a lot of weight to me. The 49ers are just a great team. So here he is on this Raiders squad, and I just think they're not going to be a very good offense at all. And I think the Chiefs are going to win this game in Week 12, 41-7. Big win for the Chiefs. Week 13 against the Packers. Okay, we're going to be in Lambeau Field. I think that's going to be another convincing win. 31-10 is the final score there. Jordan Love, he's showing promise, and he's just one of those guys where you look at him in camp, you look at him on tape, and he's got the talent. The talent's there, right? I mean, he's just a really talented guy. He's a very athletic quarterback, guy who can do it with his arm, do it with his legs, just a pretty solid, just athletic quarterback, but it just doesn't translate to me. We saw him face off against us a couple of years ago when Aaron Rodgers was hurt, and he just struggled. And every time I've seen him in the regular season, he doesn't seem to do very well. He's just kind of in a weird spot, a really, really weird spot. He was drafted, I want to say 4 or 5 years ago now, back when Aaron Rodgers was still on the team and still winning MVPs, and he's just been kind of sitting there for a while. Hopefully Aaron Rodgers taught him a couple of things. That's kind of the only thing he's really holding on to at this point, just because he's just been kind of sitting, hasn't really played a whole lot of football in a really long time. And I could just see him kind of struggling this season. Although the athleticism is there, I just don't know about him. I really don't. He hasn't been able to prove that he can hold a job in this league as a starter. So heading into this big season with the Packers, it's definitely make or break for him. But I think the Chiefs, being the team that we are, boom, we're going to take care of business right there. And then Week 14, big game against the Bills. We've got a couple of big games like this against big AFC opponents. You guys know that this was coming, man. They did it last season. We played both the Bills and the Bengals, and it's happening again this season. Of course, these games are happening late in the season. Huge playoff implications for both of these games. But in Week 14, Bills are coming to Arrowhead, and just the Bills, I just think they've got us, man. There are just times when I watch the Bills play, and it's hard for me not to see them as, the second best team in the AFC. And if you were to ask me honestly, truthfully and honestly, who's the second best team? Who is the biggest threat to the Chiefs? That's the main question we need to be asking. Who is the main threat to the Kansas City Chiefs? A lot of people, I think most people would say the Bengals. But in my personal opinion, it's the Bills, man. The Buffalo Bills, they are just a powerhouse. The Bengals, they've done it, man. They've beaten us in the playoffs. That is something that not a lot of teams, not a lot of players can say that they've done. But I just think the Bills, man, that back and forth battle, the 2021 divisional round, it told me everything I needed to know right at that moment, okay? They put their heart on the line, and they put their bodies, they put their lives on the line for that game. And they fell short. Unfortunately, they did fall short. Well, not unfortunately, but unfortunate for them. But just seeing that level of passion from that football team, I just haven't seen that from the Bengals. They've beaten us for sure. They've, I got to tip my cap to the Bengals. They've done great against us. But I just think the Bills, they're just an absolute powerhouse of a team. I do think that they're going to come in and beat us. They're going to hand us our third loss of the season here, man. Only 3, but 3 that could, make a big difference when it comes to the AFC playoff picture. I mean, the Bills, of course, are going to be one of those teams that we're going to have to really be paying close attention to when it comes to the playoff race. We want to try to secure that number 1 seed. That is the key to get into the Super Bowl, as we have discovered, last year, and then, of course, a couple of seasons ago, when we went to the Super Bowl and won against the 49ers. So, yeah, Bills, I think they've got us there. Week 15, playing the Patriots, okay? Going to New England for that game. Patriots, just one of those teams not on our level. It's going to be an easy win for us, man. Going to be a pretty easy win, and I think the defense is going to show up big time against Mac Jones. I think it's going to be a 30-6 win. Something tells me that it's going to take a little bit for our defense to really hit their stride. If you haven't noticed already, in the first half of the season, our defense, at least in my predictions, in my score predictions, the defense, they're struggling a little bit, giving up 35 points here, 28 points there, I don't know if they're really going to be able to hit their stride until later in the season, because, we've got so many guys on our team who are young, who are trying to learn this defense. I feel like it's going to take a little bit for us to, get acclimated to this defense, start to learn the playbook, start to really get things down. And I think this is really where we hit our stride here in the second half of the season. You guys know I predicted the Chiefs 41-7 against the Raiders, 31-10 against the Packers. I think the defense is going to step up. And then, of course, in this game, Week 15, I think it's going to be a 30-6 win against the Patriots, against a not very good offense, okay? So, granted, a lot of defenses is probably doing pretty good against the Patriots offense, but I mean, 6 points, holding an NFL team to 6 points is no easy task. It doesn't matter what the team is. That's a great game for the defense. I could see it happening. Week 16, our second game against the Raiders. This time it's at home, and as I've said, Raiders not on our level. That's a win, 24-13. Moving on to the Bengals. Pretty big game, man. Pretty big game. And, when we're looking at that game, it being Week 17 is just so big. We know the Bengals are going to be right there, up there in the playoff race, looking for a big win against the Chiefs. Trying to jump us, trying to get that number 1 seed, maybe that number 2 seed, depending on where they are in the rankings. They're going to be going into Arrowhead Stadium fully expecting a victory, given the fact that Joe Burrow, man, he's 3-1 against this Chiefs team. We couldn't hear the end of it when he was 3-0, but we did finally, put all that nonsense to rest when we took that victory in the AFC Championship game. But the Bengals, man, let's not forget they're still that team. They're still just a great team. And so I fully expect them to come into Arrowhead in Week 17 and expect a big win to try to, leapfrog a couple of teams in the postseason. But, man, it's not going to happen, man. I'm telling you right now. Week 17, mark it in your calendar, man. Chiefs are beating the Bengals. I just think we've had enough of this team. I think we've gotten to a point where we've played this team enough to just be able to say, we've got this team down. I just got a lot of confidence coming off of that AFC Championship win. And I think we're going to beat this Bengals team 38-24. I think the offense is going to struggle a little bit against our defense. And I think Patrick Mahomes, man, he's going to show out. He's going to show out. He's going to go out there. He's going to give an MVP level performance. And I could see us really just pounding him at Arrowhead Stadium, man. Just putting it all to rest. Putting it all behind us. That's something that we really want to try to do against this Bengals team. And then, of course, Week 18, up against the Chargers, going to LA. This could be big for playoff implications. Of course, everybody knows that the last week of the season is always against an AFC division opponent. And we got our game against the Chargers. That could be a very, very big game, considering the fact that, as I've stated before, the Chargers, they're up there in terms of just being a good team in the AFC who could potentially contend in the playoffs. So I think week 18, man, call me crazy. But I could see the Chargers winning that game against the Chiefs. I think we're going to lose that game 28-30. And that's my honest prediction, man. That is my honest prediction. The Chargers are a great team, man. They haven't picked up a win against us in a couple of years, but they're trending upwards. I could just see Justin Herbert, man. The growth is there. The chemistry is there with Keenan Allen and Mike Williams and Austin Eckler. Let's not forget about him. And let's not forget about that defense. They are stacked. Khalil Mack, J.C. Jackson, okay, Derwin James. They have got some heavy hitters on that defense, man. They've got some heavy hitters. Got a lot of star power. And yeah, man, I could see them winning. Maybe not week 18. It could be week 7. It could be week 7 that the Chargers pull off the victory. But I could see them taking a game from us, man. I could see the Chargers taking one game out of the 2 games that we've got against them this season, just because I just think they're one of those good teams. They're just a pretty solid team. Do I think it's really going to hurt us in terms of the playoff race? Not really, because my obviously at this point after this week 18 win, we'll be 13-4, which I think will be enough to secure a number 1 seed in the AFC. And I think the Chargers probably after this win, maybe 11 wins, maybe 10 wins, maybe 12. The Chargers are a good team. So do I think it's really going to affect the Chiefs in that big way? I'm not too sure about that. Frankly, I don't think so. And I think if the Chargers are only a game behind us, I'm not sure if that's going to be a loss, frankly, because if the implications are higher, then I think Patrick Mahomes he's just got that dog in him. Let's be honest. He's just got the ability to win big games. So that's my prediction, man. Let me know how you guys feel. There's always just a couple of games that seem to get away from us in a season, and it's always fun to try to see which one of those games it's going to be. So if you guys have any opinions on which games we're going to lose, if any, let me know in the comments. And thank you guys so much for watching. It's going to be a great season. See you guys in the next Chiefs chat. Peace out.